The royal chamber of the Xanteri Empire was grand and full of shining lights. Gold patterns ran along the high ceiling, and guards in strange silver armor stood in every corner. It was a special day. Leaders from all over the galaxy had come to talk about peace. In the center of the room, sitting tall on her crystal throne, was Queen Silira, ruler of the Xanteri. Everyone watched her closely. She was tall and slim, with dark blue skin and eyes like stars. Even when she didn't speak, everyone listened to her. Humans, who were new in the galaxy, stood quietly near the walls. They wore neat black suits, their badges showing they were official visitors. Among them was Liam Carter, a young security guard from Earth. It was his first big assignment, and he tried not to stare at all the strange alien faces. The Queen spoke in a calm, musical voice. "Today, we show the universe that peace is possible. Humans, we welcome you as friends." She smiled at the human delegation. The humans bowed politely, happy that their mission was going well. But then, suddenly, something strange happened. The Queen stopped speaking. Her smile faded. Her hand shook, and she gripped the arm of her throne. The Xanteri around her noticed right away. One of her advisors whispered, "Your Majesty." But the Queen could not answer. Her skin turned a paler blue. She gasped for air, her chest heaving. A moment later, the Queen fell forward, her body shaking. There was a loud gasp across the room. Guards rushed to her side, their armor clanking. A Xanteri medic appeared out of nowhere and scanned her with a glowing device. The Queen's eyes rolled back. The advisor shouted something in the Xanteri language, and everyone began to panic. The human visitors were told to step back. Liam watched as the alien doctors argued in sharp voices. The humans were confused and worried. "What's happening?" whispered one of the diplomats. Liam could only shake his head. He noticed strange things, like how the Xanteri guards looked truly scared, not just for their queen, but as if something worse was happening. In the chaos, the Queen's pulse faded. The medics shouted for rare medicines and new machines. None of their advanced tools seemed to help. Someone yelled, "She's dying." The air felt heavy, as if everyone was waiting for something terrible. All the while, Liam couldn't look away. He had been trained to stay calm in emergencies, but this was something else. He noticed a strange, sweet smell in the air, almost like chocolate, but sharper. He glanced around, but no one else seemed to notice. As the Queen's breathing slowed, everyone in the chamber realized no one knew what was wrong with her. Even with all their science and power, the great Xanteri Empire stood helpless as their queen's life slipped away. And somewhere in the crowd, Liam Carter knew that if anyone was going to find the answer, maybe it had to be a human. Liam Carter stood very still at the edge of the royal chamber. His heart beat fast in his chest as he watched the chaos around the Xanteri Queen. He had been on guard duty for only 2 weeks, and already he was facing something he had never seen before. All he could do now was pay attention to every detail. Liam's job was to keep the human visitors safe, but he could not stop himself from worrying about the Queen. He remembered how she had smiled kindly at him just that morning when he passed her in the hallway. The Queen was the reason the Xanteri and humans were meeting. If something happened to her, the whole peace mission could fail. Around him, Xanteri guards rushed about, pushing humans back with cold glances. The alien medics worked fast, talking in their language, which sounded like singing and whispering mixed together. Liam noticed their hands were shaking. It was clear that even their best healers were scared. The humans were told to wait by the tall crystal windows. Liam stood with them, but he kept watching the scene. He saw that the Queen's advisors looked angry, almost blaming the humans for what had happened. Some pointed in their direction. Liam heard one whisper, "Is this an attack?" Another said, "Did the humans bring something dangerous?" Liam tried not to react. He knew that in moments like these, a small mistake could cause big trouble. He looked at his team. The diplomats whispered nervously. No one wanted to be blamed for hurting the Queen. As Liam watched, He noticed a few things others missed. A strange, sweet smell still hung in the air. It reminded him of chocolate, but he was sure it did not belong in the Xanteri Palace. He also saw the Queen's head guard slip away from the group, whispering urgently into a small communicator. Liam had learned to trust his instincts. Something was wrong, but he could not prove it yet. He remembered his old EMT training back on Earth. He had helped people during emergencies before. He knew that sometimes, even the best doctors missed simple causes. Maybe the answer to the Queen's illness was not an alien disease, but something more basic. Trying to help without making trouble, Liam spoke softly to his leader, Ambassador Park. "I smelled something strange when the Queen collapsed," he said. "Maybe we should check if she ate or drank anything new." Ambassador Park nodded, but he looked worried. "We will suggest it, but be careful, Liam. The Xanteri are scared. They might blame us for everything." Liam nodded, keeping his eyes open. He noticed the guards checking all the doors, making sure no one left the room. The atmosphere was heavy, as if everyone was waiting for someone to make a mistake. In the middle of this chaos, Liam promised himself he would find the truth. The Queen's life, the peace between two worlds, and the future of both species might depend on what he did next. The royal chamber now felt cold and quiet, except for the sound of alien machines beeping and humming. The Xanteri medics surrounded their queen, working as fast as they could. They used small glowing tools and pressed silver patches to her skin, trying everything they knew to save her. But nothing worked. Liam Carter watched carefully from a distance. He could see the worry on every Xanteri face. Even the bravest guards looked afraid. The Queen was not just a leader. She was a symbol of peace and strength for the whole galaxy. If she died, it could mean war between planets. Liam felt the pressure in the air, thick like a storm about to break. The main alien doctor, Dr. Zill, ordered more scans. The machines floated above the Queen's body, shining soft lights and making strange noises. Dr. Zill checked the results and shook her head. "No poison, no infection, no attack from outside," she said in her musical voice. "Her heart is failing, but we don't know why." Another medic whispered, "It's like a disease we have never seen." They looked at each other with fear in their eyes. Some started to whisper about old stories, ancient curses or enemies hiding in shadows. While the aliens searched for an answer, the humans stood together, feeling helpless. The Xanteri guards kept their hands close to their weapons. Liam noticed how the aliens glanced at the humans, their faces hard. It was clear they were becoming suspicious. Suddenly, an alarm went off. The Xanteri guards stepped in front of the human group, their voices sharp. "No one leaves," one shouted. "Until we know what happened, you all stay here." The human diplomats looked worried. Ambassador Park tried to stay calm. "We mean no harm," he said softly. "Let us help. On Earth, we have seen many heart problems." "Maybe we can." But Dr. Zill cut him off. "We do not need human help," she said coldly. "This is our Queen and our problem." Liam felt frustration growing inside him. He wanted to shout, "You're missing something," but he knew he had to be careful. If he pushed too hard, the Xanteri might see it as a threat. He looked around and saw the other humans whispering to each other. Some were scared and some were angry. Liam tried to remember every detail: the strange smell, the nervous guards, the way the Queen's skin had changed color. He wrote down his thoughts on a small notepad, hiding it from the guards. Minutes felt like hours. The Xanteri doctors tried more medicine, but nothing changed. The Queen's breathing was slow and shallow. Her people began to cry quietly. Some knelt on the ground, hoping for a miracle. Deep inside, Liam knew that if someone didn't find the real reason soon, the Queen would die. He promised himself again that he would not give up. Maybe a human could see what no one else could. Liam Carter stood by the tall crystal window, watching the worried faces of both Xanteri and humans. He felt trapped. The Xanteri guards were strict. not letting anyone move without permission. The air was thick with fear and blame. Liam's mind kept spinning. He remembered his days on Earth as an emergency medical technician. Many times, he had been called to homes where someone fell sick with no warning. He learned to look for small things that other people missed. Often, the answer was not in the machines, but in simple details. He thought again about the strange sweet smell in the room. It still lingered in the air, even with the doors closed. Liam remembered the Queen's smile at the summit, how she had thanked the humans for their gifts. His team had brought special chocolates from Earth, a rare treat that most aliens had never tasted. A sudden thought hit him. Maybe something in the food or drink was hurting the Queen. On Earth, chocolate was a comfort food, but he also remembered that it could be dangerous to animals like dogs and cats. Theobromine, a chemical in chocolate, was harmless to humans, but toxic to some other creatures. Liam's eyes widened. What if the Queen's alien body could not handle something inside the chocolate? He looked at the human gift table. The wrappers from the summit still lay there. He remembered the Queen laughing as she tried a piece, her advisors clapping politely even though they did not try any themselves. He quickly told Ambassador Park his idea. "Sir, I think the chocolate might have made her sick. Some Earth foods are dangerous to animals. Maybe it's the same for the Xantari." Ambassador Park looked uncertain. "It's possible, Liam, but the Xantari doctors won't listen to us. They think we brought a weapon." Liam felt a wave of helplessness, but he refused to give up. He watched as the Queen's chief guard, Captain Nara, walked past him. She looked worried, her eyes scanning the crowd. Taking a risk, Liam spoke quietly. "Captain Nara, please, I have medical training. I think I know what is hurting your Queen. It might be the chocolate we gave her. It's safe for us, but maybe not for Xantari." Captain Nara hesitated. She glanced at the Queen, then back at Liam. For a moment, her guard mask slipped and she looked just like a scared friend. "What do you need to prove it?" she whispered. Liam answered, "Let me see what the Queen ate and let me talk to a human doctor. If I am wrong, you can lock me up." Captain Nara nodded and walked away quickly. Liam waited, his hands shaking. He did not know if she would help, but at least someone was listening. The fate of the Queen, and maybe peace between two worlds, might rest on Liam's instincts. All he could do was wait and hope that he was right. Liam Carter felt his heart beating faster as he watched Captain Nara disappear into the crowd. He tried to stay calm, but his mind was racing. He knew that waiting might be dangerous for the Queen. If he was right about the chocolate, every minute mattered. The royal chamber was full of noise, voices, beeping machines, and the worried cries of the Queen's people. The Xantari guards still stood close by the human group, not letting anyone move around freely. Liam felt trapped. He needed to act fast, but if he broke the rules, he could make things worse. Liam remembered the security routines he had learned since coming to the Xantari Palace. The guards changed shifts every 30 minutes, and there was always a short moment when no one was watching the side hallway near the guest tables. Liam checked the clock. If he was lucky, he had just a few seconds. He waited until the guards at the edge of the room turned their backs. Then, moving quickly but quietly, he slipped away from the group and walked toward the guest tables, where the human gifts had been placed. He tried to look confident, like he belonged there, and hoped no one would stop him. When he reached the table, Liam saw the pile of wrappers and gift boxes. He looked for the chocolate the Queen had eaten. After a few seconds of searching, he found a half-eaten chocolate bar with a shiny, unusual wrapper. It was not from the official gifts the humans brought. Instead, it had a different logo, one he didn't recognize. Liam picked up the wrapper. As he did, he noticed something else strange. There was a glittery residue on the inside of the packaging, something that shouldn't be in normal chocolate. He carefully folded the wrapper into his pocket. Just then, Liam heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see a Xantari guard staring at him. "What are you doing?" the guard asked, his eyes narrow. Liam forced himself to stay calm. "I'm just checking the gifts. We need to make sure nothing is missing," he replied, trying to sound official. The guard grunted but said nothing more, watching Liam carefully as he returned to the group. Back with the humans, Liam went straight to Dr. Sato, the team's xenobiologist. "I found something strange in the chocolate," Liam whispered, showing her the wrapper and explaining what he had seen. Dr. Sato took the wrapper, her eyes serious. "This residue could be important. If it's a chemical dangerous to the Xantari, we need to test it right away," she said. Liam nodded. "We don't have much time. The Queen is getting worse." Dr. Sato agreed and slipped away to analyze the sample using her portable lab kit. Liam watched her go, hoping he had found the right clue. If they were right, they might be able to save the Queen and prove that the humans were innocent. For now, all Liam could do was wait and pray that their human knowledge would be enough to solve the mystery in time. Dr. Sato worked quietly in the small lab room near the royal chamber. She carefully examined the glittery residue on the chocolate wrapper Liam had found. The machines around her were small but powerful, able to test chemicals and DNA in minutes. Liam stood nearby, his eyes fixed on her every move. "This chemical," Dr. Sato said slowly, "is a compound called theobromine. It's found in chocolate on Earth. For humans, it is safe, but it can be very harmful to some animals." Liam's heart beat faster. Could it hurt the Xantari? Dr. Sato nodded. Yes, the Xantari's heart and nervous system react differently to this chemical. It could explain why their queen's heart is failing. Liam felt a mix of hope and fear. So the chocolate caused the queen's heart attack. "It looks like it," Dr. Sato said. "But we still need to be sure. We have to test the queen's blood for traces of theobromine." They hurried to the queen's chamber. The alien medics were still working, but they watched as the humans entered. Dr. Sato asked for a small blood sample from the queen. The Xantari doctors were suspicious but allowed it. The tests were quick. Dr. Sato's machine beeped and showed the results. Theobromine was in the queen's blood at high levels. "This is it," Dr. Sato told the Xantari doctors. "The queen is poisoned by theobromine. It's in the chocolate she ate." The Xantari medics looked shocked. Some refused to believe it at first. "How can something so simple cause such a problem?" one asked. Liam stepped forward. "Sometimes the answer is simple but easy to miss. The queen tried something new. The chemical in the chocolate is safe for us, but dangerous for her species." The queen's chief guard, Captain Nara, finally spoke. "If this is true, then the antidote is what we need. But do humans have a cure?" Dr. Sato smiled slightly. "There is no direct antidote for theobromine poisoning, but humans have treatments that help the heart and remove toxins quickly." Liam added, "We can adapt those treatments with your technology. Together, we can save the queen." The Xantari doctors looked at each other. Their pride made them hesitate, but the queen's life was at risk. Slowly, they agreed to let the humans help. Dr. Sato and Liam worked with the alien medics to prepare the treatment. They mixed Earth medicines with Xantari technology, creating a new solution. The queen was given the treatment. Slowly, her breathing became steadier. The color returned to her skin, and her heart rate improved. The room held its breath as everyone watched the miracle happen. After hours, the queen opened her eyes. She looked around, confused but alive. Liam smiled, feeling proud and relieved. The Xantari medics nodded at the humans, no longer seeing them as enemies, but as partners. The queen's survival was a new beginning, a sign that together, humans and Xantari could face any challenge. The royal chamber was quiet now, but the tension was far from over. The queen lay resting on her crystal bed, her breathing slow but steady. The treatment from the human team was working, but the question remained, who had given the queen the dangerous chocolate? Was it an accident, or something more sinister? Liam Carter sat near the windows, his eyes scanning the crowd. Everyone seemed calm, but Liam knew that under the surface, fear and suspicion still burned. The Xantari leaders whispered in corners, their eyes flicking to the humans. No one wanted to believe the queen had been poisoned by one of their own, but the evidence was clear. Liam's mind raced. If the gift was meant to harm the queen, it was an attack on the whole empire, and on the fragile peace between humans and Xantari. He decided to find the truth, no matter the risk. He asked Captain Nera for permission to check the security footage from the summit. The captain hesitated but finally agreed. "You may have 1 hour. After that, no more," she warned. Liam sat in front of the glowing screen with Dr. Sato and a few trusted guards. The images showed the Great Hall during the summit. The queen was smiling, accepting gifts from many worlds. Liam watched closely as hands moved, wrapping, unwrapping, and passing presents. Suddenly, he froze. A shadowy figure, a Xantari noble known for his hatred of humans, slipped a small package onto the human gift table when no one was looking. Liam rewound the footage, watching again. The noble glanced around nervously before slipping away. "Why would he do this?" whispered Dr. Sato. Liam shook his head. "To start a war. To blame humans." They reported the finding to Captain Nera. Her face grew hard. "This is treason. We must act carefully. If this spreads, it could destroy everything." Liam knew the stakes were higher than ever. If they accused the noble openly, the palace might erupt in violence. But if they stayed silent, the queen's life and peace were still in danger. The queen began to regain strength. She asked to meet Liam and Dr. Sato. When they entered her chamber, she looked at them with gratitude but also sharp intelligence. "You saved me," she said quietly. "But I need the truth. Who wanted to harm me? Why?" Liam shared the security footage and his suspicions. The queen listened carefully, her eyes narrowing. "This is betrayal," she said. "Someone inside my court wants to destroy what we build." The queen stood slowly, her strength returning. "We will find this traitor and bring justice, but we must do it wisely." Liam felt hope growing. Together with the queen, the humans, and the loyal Xantari, they could stop the danger before it spread. But the enemy was still hidden and ready to strike again. The royal chamber was filled with quiet excitement. Queen Silera, once pale and weak, now sat upright on her throne. Her dark blue skin had regained its rich color, and her eyes sparkled with new life. Around her, trusted advisors whispered in low voices. The peace summit was saved, but the mystery was not yet solved. Liam Carter stood beside Dr. Sato, watching the queen carefully. The human team had earned respect by saving her life. The Xantari medics no longer looked cold or distant. Instead, they nodded in gratitude. The queen called for a meeting with all the leaders present. She spoke in her calm, musical voice. "This crisis has shown us both the strength and the danger in our differences. I was nearly lost because of a gift meant to harm me." She looked directly at Liam and the human diplomats. "Thanks to these humans, I am alive. They saved me when no one else could." The room erupted in surprised whispers. It was the first time a Xantari ruler had publicly praised humans so openly. Liam felt a warmth in his chest. He had never expected this when he first came to the palace as a guard. Now, he stood as a symbol of hope and friendship between two very different worlds. The queen continued, "But there is still one question. Who did this? Who tried to poison me?" She signaled Captain Nera. The chief guard stepped forward and presented the security footage Liam had found. The noble who had placed the poisoned chocolate was revealed to all. Gasps filled the room. The noble's face twisted with anger and fear as he was confronted. Some Xantari whispered about betrayal, and others demanded justice. The queen raised her hand for silence. "We will not rush to judgment. We will seek the truth with fairness." She turned back to Liam. "Your courage and sharp mind have saved my life and prevented war. You have proven that humanity can be trusted." Liam bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I thought was right." The queen smiled. "And that is what makes us strong. Together, we are more than the sum of our parts." Later, as the summit continued, the queen took time to meet privately with Liam and Dr. Sado. She wanted to understand more about Earth and its people. She asked many questions about their customs, medicines, and history. Liam told her stories about Earth's struggles and successes, how humans often solved problems with courage and kindness. The queen listened closely, fascinated by this different way of thinking. That evening, a celebration was held in honor of the queen's recovery and the new friendship between humans and Santeri. Music filled the palace, and guests from many worlds danced together. Liam looked around, feeling a deep sense of pride. He knew the road ahead would not always be easy, but for the first time, he truly believed that peace between their species was possible. The palace halls were quieter now, but the tension was still strong. The queen's recovery had brought hope, but the mystery of who tried to harm her had not yet been fully solved. Liam Carter knew the truth would change everything. After the public meeting, the noble who was caught placing the poisoned chocolate was under heavy guard. But Liam had doubts. Something didn't feel right. The noble looked angry and scared, but Liam wondered if he was really the mastermind or just a pawn. Determined to find out, Liam asked Captain Nera for more access to the palace records and security footage. She agreed, trusting Liam's judgment after all he had done. For days, Liam watched the recordings. He looked for every detail: who talked to who moved where, and what gifts were passed around. Slowly, a new picture started to form. One night, while reviewing footage from a hidden camera near the queen's private chambers, Liam saw something surprising. A quiet figure, dressed in the robes of a palace servant, slipped into the gift area long after the summit had ended. The figure moved carefully and swapped the safe chocolates with the poisoned ones. Liam paused the video. He watched the servant's face, but it was hidden under a hood. He had no idea who the person was, but this was the real saboteur. He showed the clip to Dr. Sado and Captain Nera. "This is the true culprit," Liam said. "Not the noble we arrested." Captain Nera frowned. "We must find out who this servant is. They are very clever and dangerous." Liam and the captain worked together to check the palace records. They found that the servant was a new hire, someone recently brought in from a distant part of the empire. No one had questioned their background because of the busy summit. The queen called a secret meeting with her closest advisors and Liam. She said, "This betrayal is closer than we thought. Someone inside our own walls wants to destroy the peace we fight for." Liam felt the weight of the moment. The enemy was hidden, walking among them, but now they had a lead. Together, they planned a careful trap. They would watch the servant closely and catch them in the act. The days passed slowly. Liam and the guards waited, watching entrances and exits. Then, one quiet evening, the servant tried to sneak into the gift room again. This time, the guards were ready. They caught the servant before they could do any harm. Under questioning, the servant finally revealed the truth. They were paid by a secret group who wanted war between humans and Santeri. They hoped the poisoned queen would start a war and destroy the fragile friendship. The servant's confession shocked everyone. It showed that the threat was bigger and more dangerous than anyone had guessed. The queen thanked Liam for his sharp eyes and brave heart. "Because of you, we stopped a war before it began," she said. Liam smiled quietly. He knew the battle was not over, but for now, peace had won.